Good morning, and thanks for joining us again on another episode of 1 Million Cups podcast. For the community, by the community, I have the pleasure of having Garrett with me today, and we have some really fun things to talk about, things that I like, sparkly jewelry, for instance.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You're a jeweler, and yes, tell me how long you've been doing that and how you got into it.
It was a case of right place, right time, I suppose. 1996, when I was a young, impressionable teenager, I worked at a Chick-fil-A in the mall in Baltimore.
Okay.
I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland.
All right.
And I would bring breakfast every day to the gentleman across the hall who had a jewelry and watch repair shop. And we got to chatting every day. He seemed to think I was a sharp young kid, and he offered me an apprenticeship.
Amazing. Chipping to jewelry.
Right.
I love this story.
Yes. I was a little hesitant at first.
Okay. Jewelry making is not like the cool thing to do when you're a teenager, probably.
Yeah, it didn't really seem too glamorous, I guess. He wore a leather apron. He had dirty fingers.
Yeah.
Which I now carry proudly to this day.
I love it.
Yeah. So I accepted his offer and sat side saddle, as we say, next to him on the bench for 5 years.
Amazing. I have watched a few jewelry making videos on YouTube and Pinterest and whatnot, and just really fascinated with the craft. It seems like something that takes a long time, and you mentioned 5 years. Did you ever feel like you wanted to make a change, or what kept you coming back?
I think it was the constant daily challenge. And there are plenty of industries that can provide that, I'm sure.
Yes.
But I still feel like to this day, almost 30 years in, that there's something new I discover or improve upon every day. And that, I think, keeps me going. A person needs a challenge, otherwise you just become stagnant and disinterested, right?
Yeah.
I'm always working on getting better at what I do every day. And the cool thing is that I have a tangible finished product.
Yes.
That I can be proud of, and I really enjoy that quite a bit.
That's so cool. Tell me about where you're at now and how long you've been in that position.
Okay. I'm essentially a sole proprietor now.
Okay. Love it.
And there's a bit of a backstory there, but I opened a physical brick and mortar jewelry store in 2021.
Excellent.
Yeah. That is at 144th and F Street. It's the same general area as, say, Charlie's on the Lake and some of the car dealerships and stuff. It's a good neighborhood to be in, the Millard area. That was, 5 years ago now almost?
Yeah.
And we started in a very small space in that shopping center. And then about a year and a half in, expanded to 3 bays, which consumed about half of that shopping center.
Amazing.
Yeah. With the goal there was just to do the traditional big retail store with a smiling face behind every counter.
Yeah.
Scale the business.
Challenging time, no less.
Right.
In the middle of the pandemic, a very personalized relationships type service. I'm impressed that you guys kind of survived that chaos. Can you touch a little bit on that?
Sure.
How that was when the opening and everything?
Yeah, absolutely. I had heard or firmly believe that to survive in retail, and I'm sure many other industries, you have to do something a little bit different, be innovative or stand out in some way.
Yeah.
And in the jewelry business, there's tons of competition.
My goodness, yes.
Yeah, no matter where you go, there's, multiple stores of different types.
Yeah.
And at that time, during the expansion, the thought was do the traditional scale your business, grow, add staff, get more inventory. The kind of classic model, right?
Yeah.
And that worked well enough through, through the pandemic and reduced travel. And anyway, a lot of people were spending more money on jewelry.
Well, that's great. It's great timing for you then. People were bored. They're like, let's go get something shiny.
Basically, yeah.
I love it.
You cut other line items out of your budget and you have more money for jewelry. Yeah.
Totally makes sense.
Right.
That makes sense.
But I do like to joke that starting a jewelry store is easy. The only hard part is the first 100 years.
Oh, right.
It takes time. You have to build that clientele organically.
Absolutely.
Word of mouth is very, very important. So networking essentially
Absolutely.
is what drove it.
Yeah, you're dealing with some of the most precious pieces for people. So I would imagine your relationship building is absolutely the most crucial piece.
Yes.
How do you work on building out that network?
Well, I don't have a very structured plan with that. It has sort of just been organic.
I love it.
Yeah, I had the doors open to the public all the way up until recently. The first of this year, we sort of went private for most of the week.
That's cool.
Yeah. And it wasn't to be exclusionary by any means. It was just, I had so much work on my plate in the workshop, doing the custom fabrication, the repairs, reimagining heirloom pieces, that kind of stuff.
I love it.
Yeah. It's time consuming work, and I really pour all of my passion into it, and had a lot of late nights. And I eventually had to go more to the private model where you can set an appointment online or for a call and set that up. And I think that's been a good pivot for me in the last 6 months or so.
That's great.
But when the doors were open for the first 4 years or so, the traffic was increasing every day.
That's great.
It was wonderful. Yeah. Lots of folks getting referred from friends and family and coworkers.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Now, I would imagine you've hired on staff, and so you have your own apprentices. Is that true?
I have tried.
You have tried. I was about to say, I'm curious about, because that can be very challenging to switch from learner to the teacher. So talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Not to digress too much, I did spend time instructing while I was in the Air Force. I had a 10-year hiatus in there.
Amazing.
So I served as an instructor in a few roles there. So
that naturally led over to where you are now. Very cool.
Yeah. I'd like to think it helped, allow me to mentor new students or get an apprentice on board. And I hired a number of young folks, 3, gave them a chance at it, sit next to me at the bench. But I suppose a lot of folks don't understand how big a commitment it is. It really takes a lifetime to get good at it.
Gotcha.
My 5-year apprenticeship was probably 3-4 years in before I stopped breaking basically everything.
Oh, wow. So super challenging.
Yes.
So it's hard to keep people, kind of motivated because people want to succeed, but it really takes that time and effort to build that skill.
Exactly. And it also was a bit of a sacrifice in terms of my time. Because if I want to give one-on-one instruction to really get somebody, in the fold and get them trained, it's going to extend my day to such a point where I can't really get work done on time. So there's that struggle there. How does one grow? I try to build a jewelry store when it's a high skilled trade in the workshop, at least.
Absolutely.
Because salesmanship or salesperson skills can be translated pretty easily from business to business.
Sure.
If you know how to close a deal and you learn just enough the technical stuff, it'll be great selling jewelry.
You can sell shoes. You can probably sell a ring.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But actually getting your hands into it and fixing people's most precious things, there's a lot of pressure there.
Absolutely.
To not damage it, to not make mistakes, and that does take, I'd say, half a decade to get really to the point where you can do it on your own without somebody backing you up.
Yeah.
So I hopefully one day we'll be able to take an apprentice under my wing, or maybe even better yet, somebody who's midway through their career and just needs to polish off their skills with some of the more advanced stuff.
Fold. Yeah. I love that. So obviously high stakes customers. Talk to me a little about churn or customers who are unhappy with the work. How do you work to salvage that situation?
Oh, that's an excellent question. And to be perfectly blunt with you, it's so rare that I don't really have.
I love that. What a great answer. You're like, I don't even have that problem. I'm just so amazing. But that's so great, because you've spent so much time at your craft. You really obviously listen to exactly what they're looking for. And I assume work very closely with them to make that perfect custom solution. So that's so cool. That's very incredible. Well, what do you do in the community outside of the jewelry store? How do you stay active and do you give back at all?
I have started to do that just now.
I love it. I love it.
My being here, trying to network, get to know more people.
Fantastic. And we're so glad you're here. It's been awesome.
Thank you. But I have to admit, the last 5 years have been 100+ hour work weeks.
Oh, absolutely. New business.
Yes.
So you're all in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that recent pivot we made to going most of the appointment only, the store's open Friday, Saturday for folks to walk in, check it out.
Yeah.
Still have lots of merchandise and display cases. But I'm trying to reclaim some of my personal life so I can go be a part of the community.
Absolutely.
Which is important for a number of reasons, not just business, but personal. And,
got to feed that soul before you can. I love it.
Exactly.
That's so great. That's so great. Well, tell me about one of the favorite pieces that you've worked on and maybe a little bit of the story behind it.
Oh, sure. There's so many. Rolling through them in my head.
I know. It's hard to pick just one, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, I could kind of jog my memory with some of the images on the screen there. Those are all custom projects that I've done.
I love it. And I look forward to seeing those later for sure.
Yeah, it's just a small handful of them. There's one couple in particular that I really enjoyed working with. They just struck me as very genuine folks, excellent communicators. He was looking to make her a custom engagement ring that was modeled after, it was a Princess Diana's iconic engagement ring.
With the blue, right? Is that the right one? Okay.
Yes. So she wanted it modeled after that, not a direct copy, because you can always essentially just cast something that looks exactly like a picture.
Sure.
But she wanted a little bit of a twist on it to make it theirs. So
right. Yeah.
I sat with them at the the sales desk, or the diamond desk, we call it.
Oh, I love that.
Yes. And we sat there for a number of hours. We're just getting to know who they are as a couple, who she is, her background, her aesthetic preferences.
Absolutely.
What thrills her. And she showed me, I don't know, dozens of photos of other pieces of jewelry she likes.
I love that.
Not necessarily related, but that's her theme. So I took all of those little bits of information and basically put them into a design that evolved over several iterations. But I'd say a few weeks in, we just managed to nail it right on the head with that last rendering, that last iteration. And I really enjoyed making it. As opposed to casting the piece, I hand fabricated it on the bench, just using raw materials. It tends to be more labor intensive than casting, which is basically pouring molten gold into a mold, which is also a way that we can do things. But in some cases, just making it from scratch there at the bench is the most satisfying way to get really good results.
You literally have your hands on the whole process.
The entire thing, yes. That's probably my favorite.
That is so cool. I love that. So where do you see the future of your business headed? What's next in your chapter?
Well, this is a kind of a transitional moment for the business where my clientele has spoken in that when doors were open to the public and I had a larger staff than I do now, almost everybody would come in and ask to speak with me, which is flattering. It's wonderful, but they want to talk to the person that has their hands on, that's making the jewelry for them.
Right.
I'm your direct consultant. And, I decided maybe I should stop ignoring that very clear sign from the world that customers want to work one-on-one with them. And the only way to make that work in terms of timelines or availability is to make it by appointment only. So that's a huge shift from having to be at the store, 10 a.m. every day, open to the public, whomever walks in. That's what your day is going to look like. So that's changed a lot in the last few months. So where we go from here, I think, is just improving efficiency, getting more of the kind of clientele that can appreciate, exactly what I do. I like doing the finer, higher end stuff, but not, of course, to be exclusionary. I like to work with any budget, but folks that really love jewelry. Because I'm passionate about it. I think about it constantly. It's not just a thing I do for a living. It's an obsession, really.
I love that. And that's what probably makes you so good at it, too. And you're so smart to listen to what the customers are saying. In entrepreneurship, we call that customer discovery, where they're obviously telling you, letting the market pull you along, and then hopefully raising your prices a little bit now that you're doing it privately. So. But, such a great response to seeing where the market's going and reflecting what that desire is. So I think that's really smart.
Oh, well, thank you.
So if we need something sparkly, where do we find you at?
I'm at 144th and F Street.
Perfect.
Of course, Friday and Saturdays, doors are open. I'll have staff there to help. So
great.
You won't just stand around waiting to talk to someone.
That's fantastic.
So we always have friendly faces.
Great.
A lot of beautiful things in the store to look at. And you can also find me online, Sidrony.com.
Perfect.
Nice and easy. Just no suffixes or anything.
Is there a reference to something in the name of it?
It's my middle name.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that. You put your personal touch on it.
There you go.
Great.
And my middle name is jewelry, right? I guess that's the idea. And I did change the spelling.
I love that. What a creative tag. Is that your tagline? Is that your official tagline?
Maybe it should be.
I think it really should. It's just so great. It's awesome. Yes. Fantastic.
Yes. So Sidrony.com, or just come visit the store. And I'd love to meet more folks in the community. It would be great.
That's so great. Well, thank you again for joining us so much. And thank you for tuning in and listening. And we'll catch you on the next episode of 1 Million Cups Podcast.
Thank you.